DJ Party! Hey-o. How's your day been going?
Pretty amazing.
Okay, can you describe how the reaction has been to Echo, like, ever since, now that we know, we've had months and months of speculation, grounders in space.
Yes.
What do you think, what's the biggest, have people been telling you they're like, what they think is gonna happen?
That's actually one of the main things that I've heard is they think Echo's gonna happen. Another thing that they are worried about is, or not worried about, that they wonder about is what's gonna happen when she gets back to Earth with Octavia. Because that's gonna be a fun reunion.
Right, you killed her, sort of.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
We went over this, right guys?
You didn't mean
It
to.
was, I slipped.
You slipped, yeah. We have some fan questions that will open up to the audience, so on the internets.
Yes.
So, at Wordy Blurred would like to know, Wordy Blurred, what was something that surprised you about playing Echo? The work, a plot line, a specific theme, or an emotional connection? Like, what has surprised you about playing her?
Well, one thing that surprised me, there's a couple things. Like in season 4, because you only get these incremental pieces of a personality, like the writers write stuff, and then you go home and you marinate on it, and you like think about it, and you weave it into your work. So it's like I had an idea of Echo, and then they give me a new script, and I'm like, oh, all right. Well, now we're gonna have to combine those things. So I was surprised that it took her so long to buy into peace. You know what I mean? Like it was like every episode I was like, she's still super, super, super as good at, and the reason being is that in the cages, she seemed surprised that Bellamy actually was honorable and came back for her, and that they did that thing together, you know? And so I thought that she would have been a little bit more pliable. But that was one thing that surprised me about her. Yeah.
Well, it's like under Naya's leadership.
Exactly. I mean, like, you don't mess around when Naya's in charge. You're just like, okay.
What's interesting is Rowan had much more of it seemed an open mind toward a potential piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Well,
then
because he got banished, and then, like, you know, mother like son, he banished Echo. Poor little lass.
What I feel like it's the first time that you really have more or any scenes with Louisa, because you know I think Amori and Echo didn't have any scenes yet, right? Until the end.
No, we didn't have any scenes.
Is it nice to have a fellow grounder up there?
But in a weird way, I feel like Amori and Echo, like, even though they are very different, because Amori is, you know, a solo warrior, like Echo in some ways is the same, but they're both really strong, like they both operate as individuals very, very well, even though like Echo's protectiveness as Geta Nation. I think they understand what it means to be alone.
Which is really helpful when you're up for 6 years with 6 people, right? Right. Before we get to the next question, I have to ask, because we're asking the people, if you had a choice between going up in space with 6 specific people or going underground with 1,200 people, what would you choose?
Dang.
I know it depends on...
Did we took the being on planet Earth element out of it?
Yes.
Rats. What would you guys do? Space or space?
Space.
Bunker?
Space if you can pick the 6 people.
Right. Because like that could go both ways. Like you could be like, these are my best friends. We're gonna have a nice time, and by the end of it, you're like, I hate you.
Right.
I never want to see you again.
And you got to spend a lot more time doing scenes with people like, you know, Richard and obviously Bob and Louisa. But so tell us about working with Lindsay Morgan. Okay.
Working with Lindsay is literally the stupidest thing ever, because her and I are just like so dumb together on stage.
They're roommates right now.
Yeah, we live together right now. I was like just talking to her before I walked on stage, and you know, everything is very dramatic, right? I'm like, how close? As close as you want. Hello. But so like, you know, we're like la 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 do 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 do. And then we'll just have to like get super focused, and they're like, cut. We're like,
Sister.
Yeah, like she's totally like a sister, exactly. And we created this personality called Chad. which some of you may have heard of.
Chad.
Chad.
Is that a combined?
That was Echo. So in the end of season 4, like Echo was just like, I'm here with all these people I don't know. And there's a spaceship, but she didn't know it was a spaceship. She was like, there's something. And this is Becca's lap. Like she was just like, what's up? So like I was walking around every scene just like, and they were all like, we need to get the processor to the something, and do the buttons and press the things. And Echo's like, and so like that was Chad. Chad's like, I don't know, man. Cool. And so we made like this character Chad.
Like your stoned alter ego.
It's my stoned alter ego. And so Chad lives on, and there's a new character on the show, Shaw, played by our friend Jordan now. And he's like, who is Chad? Me and Lindsay are always like, Chad! We refer to each other as Chad.
Adorable.
It's so dumb. We laugh a lot.
What was it like for you? I mean, your foray into the show was the gauze bikini and the cage.
You know?
Yes. And then progressively, we got the grounder outfits, the Ice Nation outfits, and then you are up in space. We're going to see a whole new look. I'm looking forward to J. Crew Echo, more of a modern look. How comfortable were you? I know you can't say anything, but how was it for you being on a spaceship set and wearing completely different clothing? And like, does it help your mindset to play this character?
What was funny is like in season 4 they gave me heels, which is so ridiculous. I was like, yeah, like I really need to be taller than ever. and I need to sword fight in heels because that seems normal. But that was a bad choice. But they gave me flats, and then in this season they gave me cropped pants. So like every time like I sat down, the pants went from like here to here, and I always just felt so weird. Like I felt like I couldn't be taken seriously. Like I was like, yeah, and like I'm wearing like long shorts.
Can't wait to see that.
So there was an outfit change. It chilled me out. There was something about that jacket that was just so regal and imperial. Like I was just like when I walked, like I just like had like I don't know. Yeah, I had swag.
Echo's always had swag.
Now I'm in a yoga outfit.
Yeah, there's a lot of like people joking about what, for 6 years, what is Echo going to teach everyone how to braid their hair? Is she going to teach them how to be a panda? Like, what's going to happen? Panda makeup 101.
She's going to teach them how to be a panda. She's like, things to do today. But like, when we were like at the beginning of the season, you decide on your show look, which is it's your main look for the season. So you can obviously go, it changes sometimes depending on what's happening, like when you have to put on panda face makeup for your war look, whatever. But for the most part, you're in one look. And I was like, let's do some crazy braids. And me and Lindsay were like, yeah, bro, Chad. Because I'm like, they had so much time in space. I'm like, that like, the grounders were like, you want to see some braids? I will show you some braids. And they just wanted to braid everyone's hair.
Well, it's nice because the opposite's probably gonna happen in the bunker where like, you have a very limited amount of sky crew and a lot of grounders, so their outfits and hair is gonna take a change too. It's gonna be an interesting shift. And then when they all see each other again, I'm like, what's happening?
Well, you guys have seen some of the photos of like, I think like Richard's hair is amazing, or like Murphy's hair is amazing. I think Monty's hair is amazing. Have you guys seen Octavia's hair?
Yeah.
I cut her hair.
You personally cut Marie's hair?
I sure did.
Oh wow, how'd that go for the crew?
We filmed it.
Okay.
It was weird.
You should post it at some point.
Marie's like, cut my hair! And I was like, okay. We made a boomerang, so it's me going like this. And Marie's like, yeah! Which will be posted.
Nice, please do. Okay, we have some internet questions and we'll open it up here. If you could go back in time and have a conversation with yourself before shooting your first episode of The 100, what would you say? And that's from Samara Haram.
Practice spitting.
Practice spitting, okay?
And I was really nervous in my first episode. It was really like a stressful day. Like I was really nervous. Just relax.
Just relax, yeah.
Be the cage. Be one with the cage.
I mean, at least we didn't see you hung upside down in Vein of Blood, even though that's what they were
That's what they
doing.
were shooting the moment before we started shooting. So like Bob would like, when I first met Bob, he was like in underwear basically, and he was like, "Damn, that was crazy." And I was like, "Hey, nice to meet you." It's Canadian winter, like it was like we were shooting a warehouse basically. So like we're standing there in like gauze, and it was so cold. So I was like,
Had you watched the show before you were cast on the show?
Yes.
Okay, so you were a fan, which helps. Okay. And did they give you any backstory for Echo, or did you create it as you went along?
I did create it as I went along. Yeah. I actually thought I was related to Rowan.
Maybe you are.
But I might be. But I also think if I was, we would have known. I would have been like, brother.
Like you have the Desmond accent from Lost? Or see you in another life, brother. That kind of thing. All right. One more question before we open up to the fans here is, MJ Luke at 22 would like to know, how long did it take to train for your fight season, season 4? So both Octavia and like all of it.
Zach and I was so nervous to do this sword fighting, so I was like, I'm gonna get on top of this one, and I'm gonna be a good actor, and I am gonna prepare in every way I know how. So I was like Googling sword fighting, and I went to Toys R Us, and I got like Nerf swords, and I was like, hey, yo, Zach, I know like you're like a big star, but like, you wanna go to the park and like sword fight?
You and Zach McGowan went Nerf sword fighting in a park.
We did.
Okay, just want to, that's a visual.
Summertime, and he was like, all like, it was like hot out, so he's all like, like muscly and stuff like that. And I'm like, this probably looks weird.
2 adults with Nerf swords.
Exactly. And he's left-handed, so he was trying to like, he's like, no, you gotta do it more like this. And I was like, I don't know what you're doing. It's the opposite side, but we practice like a lot off screen, and same with Marie. But we have an amazing stunt team, like amazing. The fact that they do what they do, like, it's amazing. But it takes us, like Zach was saying, like on one of his shows, they take like a few weeks to learn a sword fight. On ours, they'll give us like a week, maybe a few days. Sometimes, like there was a scene I did not a sword scene, but a fight scene I did this season that I showed up in the morning, and we shot it that day. So I literally had like an hour, and it was a huge fight scene. I was like,
You pulled it off.
yeah.
Did you have any inkling, or did they tell you after the Mount Weather scene, they take you out of Mount Weather? We assumed we wouldn't see any of those grounders again, let alone Echo. Did you know that you were going to be back?
Yes.
Oh.
No, I didn't at all. They asked me this question on Friday, and I didn't. I thought like, because when you come in on the end of the season, like you're like, are they beginning to develop a storyline, or are you just gonna be a day player? And they brought me in on season 3 at the beginning, so I was like, maybe there's gonna be something here. Then I didn't. I disappeared for 10 or 13 episodes, so I didn't know I was coming back. But
Well, congratulations on being a regular season 4.
That's like, it's one of like the best sets and best cast and best everything.
That set is spectacular.
Oh yeah, you were there.
Yeah.
How was that?
I mean,
I wanted to go with her. She's like, I'm coming to Vancouver. I'm going to set, and I was so tired. I was like, I want to come with
filming
you.
all night.
I know.
You
It's
could
so
film all night. Yeah. I was there for the day 1 of the season finale filming, and I had zero context of what I had.
You must have been like, what
I was Jon
is
Snow, I
happening?
knew nothing, and I was like, what am I looking at? Oh, but the sets are next level.
Yeah.
The spaceship.
Did you see this? I was gonna say, did you see the spaceship?
Yes, and I'm a Battlestar Galactica fan, and it's on par with Battlestar Galactica. Like, it's that good. Yeah, so you guys have a lot to look forward to. And there's a particular Clark and Maddie set that I'm very fond of. Yeah, you know.
I'm obsessed with that set. I like my entire phone is photos of that set. I'm just like, I'm gonna take another photo.
Yeah, you'll see it very soon. Sorry to be those people.
Yeah, they did an amazing job.
They did. Yeah, the detail. Yeah.
Like we've been braiding hair in space, and these guys.
Exactly. Well, you're welcome to line up and ask Todd's questions about anything you like, 100 related or not. We can talk about food. Boy, you know.
Food.
Food, rest. You have your family restaurant?
Yes, the restaurant, pizza.
Pizza. Delicious. Delicious pizza. Hi.
I forgot what I was gonna ask. Oh no. Okay, yeah.
Oh.
Okay, I remember.
Here we
I
go.
saw in the trailer Echo has more of a softer look. Does she have time to figure out herself out in space and like does she have like kind of like what she wants to do like when she gets on the ground or like how she is?
Well, like when we were doing like the look for the season, what we do is like we do different hairstyles.
Yeah.
So like I sit in the chair for hours, and they're like, "What about this?" And they put in extensions and braids, and we did different looks. And I was like, I wanted her to have like a softer look. So I was like, I thought it would be cool if she looked kind of like a samurai. Like she just had like long hair that she like did like or like a braid, like one braid or something like that. But that got turned down. There was the intention to soften her, because one thing she did learn, I think what she did learn is that I think she learned friendship. You know what I mean? I think it occurred to her in space that she had been used in a way, by Queen Naya. And so instead of fighting for duty, she was fighting for, spent season 5 fighting for friendships and fighting, for family in a different sense. So she is, softer.
Did she keep a bit of her rounder look, or is she like completely like Arcadian now?
Well, that was the negotiation is. I was like, how do I keep Echo without like softening her too much?
Yeah.
Because like part of like the thing I love so much about her, she's just like, she's like, this is like, she's just like unapologetically who she is.
That's
And I'm like, which is like why, like I'm like, I want more Echo in my life.
I was so upset she wasn't season 4, but not like as much as I really wanted her to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's one of my favorite characters.
Oh, thank you.
You're
Right,
about to
thank
be
you.
fed then, because it's the
I
last.
can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm so happy you're a series regular.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Okay, so my question is, we know Echo wasn't brought into the show until season 2. And I think as many of us have experienced today, it's one of the most welcoming, most sweet, kind, caring cast. So when you went onto that set for the first day of the table read, it wasn't like you immediately fit in, and were they like welcoming and sweet to you, like the whole cast?
Well, like the only person I worked with was Bob for the first few days, and then there was one scene that I did where, because we didn't do like table reads, we don't have time, like on the 100 things move really, really fast. I remember I was on a different show called Travelers, and they had a table read, and they're like, we're having the table read at lunch, and I was like, table read? I'm like, table read is when like everyone sits down, like all the actors and like the people they bring in for the day of that episode, and they all read it to like hear the scene, like hear the episode. I'm like, we don't have time for that. Like we move. There's so much to be done. So I worked with Bob, and he was lovely. And then there was an episode where I walked out of Mount Weather, and in that episode I met Eliza, Ricky, Alicia. Like I met like everybody, and I was like, hey guys, how are you? And it was hilarious. Like we're in this tiny little tent, and the rain was like beating down. We're on the Canadian mountains, and we're all just sitting there like around like the heaters, and they're all like in clothes, and I'm in a bikini basically. And I was like, hey, nice to meet you. But everyone was like super welcoming, and it's the one thing about the show that really stays with me is how welcoming everybody is. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Love
you.
you, Tavia.
The Travelers threw me. I like the Travelers. I've got to think back to what scene or where you
What
were at in the
episode?
train. Yeah.
I was in
Season 1 or 2?
2.
It's on Netflix, everybody. Travelers.
Travelers is a great show.
It's really an interesting show.
Yeah, I think
It wasn't my question. So, such a strong personality with Echo, and just getting to the end, and then seeing her in the room ready to, kill herself. Describe the whole transition if you've got time, or pull it into a nutshell. How you brought
from the
Echo
beginning of the
to that
season to the
position.
end.
Yeah.
Well, like she was a person that was like taught honor. So honor was a big. So like one of the things I worked on was being a samurai. And actually that was what they were alluding to in like the suicide process, is like when you're a spy or when you're a samurai and you get caught, or you know, you just take your own life. And I researched it, it's called like seppuku, and it's really gnarly. And I was like, oh my God, this is awful. But I thought it was like, I love how they like pull pieces of, you know, history and whatever into their world. So that, I think there's a moment, I'm not sure if you guys have ever had this, where like your whole, what you feel you know is completely turned upside down. And it's so disorienting that, you know, she's in the enemy's area and she's about to go to space, which she thinks is blasphemy. She never believed in this. Like, she was not a part of that ideology at all. And so she was just probably like way over her head. She's like, this is over. Rowan's dead. I'm vanished. Naya's dead. I don't know what's going on. What's the chip? Where am I? What is going on right now? And she's like, it's over. And that's not the funny part, but the funny part is how Raven walked in and was like, whatever's happening right now, we gotta go. And Echo's just like, oh, okay. And I look, because there's a quality to Echo that I always try to maintain, which is, you know, you want to find like the opposite of a character. So like when Echo's so deadly and so fierce, I was like, there has to be something she's lost, and there has to be a childhood that she's lost, and there has to be a lot of pain that she's covering with that. So to me, she doesn't have great people skills because she's, you know, there's a child quality and an innocence to her underneath all of that aggression. And that was, to me, that scene where she just capitulates and she's like, I don't know what's going on. You know, but yeah.
I also love the look of surprise on the faces of, and when you first saw Zero G, when you and Amore.
And Mario was like, yeah! And then Echo's like, oh.
Hi. So I know you always talk about Echo being an orphan, and I know it breaks all of our hearts. Please tell me this season she finds family with both space crew and on the ground, and that she has a place to belong, because watching you be in pain hurts all of us. And we just want Echo happy. Even if it's like a minute of like a smile with Maddie or something. Can we at least have like a little hint of hope for you? Because we want you happy.
That is like the sweetest thing that you, like I feel so endeared right now, because the one thing in working with Echo that I really learned was, you know, you watch the news and it's so easy to vilify people, and you know, and I feel like, so what I had to do in my prep was I had to study like what makes someone so angry that you can behave that way, and then I literally just like my heart was breaking for all of these people, like child soldiers in Africa or like, you know, the Middle East and all that kind of stuff. I was like, these aren't bad people. They're cultured to be, like, they're trained into being this way, and they deserve love. And I feel like I'm gonna cry. Like everyone deserves love. So I became really endeared to Echo, because when I first read her, I'm a very like yoga, like hippie type of person. So like I was like, what the hell is going on here? Like, why is she so angry? And then when I got behind it, I was like so heartbroken. So I'm touched that you say that, because I feel like if we could all treat each other the way you just said, you know, like it would be so amazing. And Echo does find a family. It does get tested when everyone gets back to Earth, as you know, the 100 says. And I think that's what she's fighting for, is her new. She's like, I thought I found a family, you know, like I hope I found a family, and I think that's what freaks her out. Is like she finally became vulnerable, And then she was like, I can't lose this. Like, did they love me like I love them? You know, and so that's, I think, for her, a big part of season 5.
Thank you so much.
Hi again. I just want to say that, first of all, I write essays defending Echo and everything because I feel like she doesn't, like, you know, like, I feel like she does no worse than anybody else. And her kill count, by the way, is not higher than, like, Clark or Bellamy. Let's face it. Yeah, like, I think you actually killed very little people. So, but my question is, so you said that Echo doesn't really have a lot of people skills. You're stuck 6 years in space. Can we get a hint of any kind of small talk that you have with anybody?
Well, like, we, like I was saying, like, Richard and I, like, decided that, like, Murphy and Echo became best friends because, like, he'd be, like, pacing around the ship being like, man, you know, Maury, like, she's just, like, today, she's just, like, I don't know, she's not hearing me, man, she's just, like, not, you know, getting it, you know? And I'm just like, yeah. And he's like, you know, like, hey, what do you think? I go, oh, I know, you're right. You're so right. You're always right, Echo. You're just always right, man. And like Echo doesn't say anything to Murphy, but like she's like become his like therapist. and he just like arrives at his own conclusions just by like talking at Echo. But I think like in a weird way, like, you know, like in a group of friends, there's like one person that like just is like the steady person that like is just like the rock. Like I think she just doesn't like care to get into like gossip or like that kind of stuff. So she's just always like, she's very logical. So she's very like, yeah, or we could do it this way, which makes way more sense. Or, you know what I mean? Like she's just very like, she doesn't say a lot, but when she does, it's very poignant. So in space, what was the question?
Like small talk with other people, but
Small talk?
yeah.
I think like too, like another thing that she likes is like, she likes like games. Like I think like she's kind of like a sassy person. Like there's a scene where in Polis, like she flips Bellamy like onto his back. Like when he's like, wait, and grabs my arm, but then I was like, haha, and I turned and like flipped him over, and then like I pull out a knife and I'm like,
So we can expect a lot of Monopoly
so
going
she's
on? Monopoly?
Is that small talk? Sure, there's a lot of small talk.
Thank
There's
you.
a lot of hide and seek.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, really, what
Those
else
are
can
all
you
going to
play?
be comics, by the way. So I will
She does the
definitely,
doodles.
I got you.
Oh, right!
Yeah, I got you.
Echo Play Monopoly coming soon.
This is actually kind of a similar question to that one. But so back like in the early seasons, people like they were watching like old sports stuff. So assuming the arc theoretically has like a repository of pop culture, you've got nothing that's set in years, what sort of things from like basically modern times like music or like TV shows would Echo be all about like getting into during 7 years of boredom? Or 6? I don't know.
I think like she's probably like, whoa. Like I think she actually like now so I didn't we as actors spoke about like what kind of music and movies and stuff that they watched, because for sure they had like a terabyte of classics, which are like our movies that we're watching right now. Blade Runner or like whatever it is. So they did have movies and TV and music, but like she was probably just like you know, if there's popcorn, she would just be like, shut up, guys. They're like, Echo, we've seen this movie before. I know! It's like, you know, you can imagine like, you've never seen a movie or you've never been a part of technology, you're just like, but what is her favorite? I don't know, like I would like to say something weird like Dirty Dancing or some like weird like classic from like one of my classics, you know, or like Grease or something like that, you know, something like really nerdy. Like I feel like she just like when you go so far in one direction, like she for sure like has like she's like, I like Finding Nemo.
Cheesy reality shows.
Yeah. Hey. Maybe.
Instead of watching the Hunger Games going, yeah, I gotta kill him and her right
Yeah,
away.
exactly.
That wouldn't work at all.
That's so true, actually.
Yeah.
She'd be like strategizing. She'd be like, that's not how I would do it.
Katniss has nothing on me. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. So you were saying how Naya raised you, or Echo. Do you think the 6 years in space has helped Echo to learn to think on her own?
That's a really interesting question because I think that like she's always operated on her own.
But she's
by
always
herself.
thought with Naya's voice in her head.
But yeah, but within the framework of socialization and training.
Right.
So I think that's actually a big. That's what made me like. That's what made Echo season 5 really difficult. Was who is she on her own?
Right.
Because there was a lot of like mind explosions. I think she was like, this is friendship, or like you're doing this just to be nice, or like like moments like that where she was like, there was a big learning curve that she went through.
Okay.
And so, sorry, what was the question again?
Would the 6 years in space help Echo to think on her own, like without
Yeah,
Naya's
like I
voice in
think
her head?
she definitely like I think in space she's now created like a space identity where she's
Right.
like, this is me with my friends in space, and that's what she kind of arrives at. When they get back to Earth, that's where it becomes dangerous because for the first time she's put in circumstances where she has, you know, default and training, and you know, like in the same way that she accidentally stabbed Octavia because she just so
As
like
Gator
just
comes back.
fighting. That all gets tested. So she's trying to, she's worried about it gets tested. So she's like, there's a whole other thing that happens when she gets back to Earth. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, okay. So what's your favorite dynamic for Echo this season? Like, who's your favorite character for her to interact with?
Raven. No, well, Raven or Murphy. Murphy and Echo, I think, play really well, like off of each other.
Echo?
Yes, all of the things.
Is he more jealous?
I don't know. I don't know.
Hi, I saw this anonymous question online that was posed after Bob said that Bellamy was learning Trig, so I wanted to ask you, are the characters up in space and in the bunker speaking in Trig because the people on the Elitist ship don't know Trig, so it's like code?
Please hold. What?
Okay, so it's like people in space and people in the bunker both know Trig. In season 5, are they using Trig as code because Allegis doesn't know Trig?
With a prisoner ship, do you use Trig in front of them so they don't know what you're saying?
Yes.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
But like that also, there's a whole other thing with that. But I think I can say, like, you know, like you go to a town, you know you speak French, your friend speaks French, you hope no one else on the bus speaks French.
Oh, that reminds me. You said you took French immersion in the. I'm taking a French minor right now, so that's really cool.
Qu'est-ce qui se passe? What's happening?
No. C'est une bonne convention.
Ah, merveilleux.
Merci.
Where's the cat? Can you translate for me? Because my French is awful right now.
For the next French lesson.
Hi. You'd mentioned how it up in Vancouver would be like really cold or really bad weather, and you'd have to be outside no matter what and filming in that. So how did you get yourself prepared for those really intense physical days when you knew you'd be miserable, but had to do it anyway?
Yoga. Yeah, yoga helps. Nope. Jameson. Being Canadian. They cover you in hot patches. Those things that like, you know, like the hand warmer things.
Under your clothes?
What I've now figured out, like where the major veins are in a human body, because like that's where you put the hot patches. But there's no getting around it. Like it gets so miserable and so cold. I can't like describe it. Like I literally just feel like I'm like digitized. I'm just like, and my mouth won't work. I want to run up and be like, the thing is happening to the thing, but I'm like, because my lips, I've lost feeling in my face. I can't operate, and so you can't really get around it. But you know what helps is just like your friends. Like there's so much laughter on set, so like you just have to like attach yourself to somebody and laugh and try to get through it. Yeah.
Can you say if you're more comfortable in season 5 physically? Like not as freezing, for example?
I don't know if I can.
Thank you very much.
Fair.
So at Unity Days in Vancouver, you talked a little bit about